The story of money in France doesn't start with France itself. It begins long before, in a land we now call Gaul. Over 2,600 years ago, Greek sailors and traders founded a port city they named Massalia. You'll know it today as Marseille. These Greeks brought with them a revolutionary idea from their homeland. Small stamped pieces of metal used for trade. These were some of the very first coins to be seen in these lands. They were made of silver and carried designs of their gods and symbols from their culture. A little piece of Greece carried in a trader's pouch. Imagine the Gauls, the local Celtic tribes, seeing these for the first time. It must have been extraordinary. The Gallic tribes, who had their own rich cultures and traditions, saw the usefulness of these Greek coins. They didn't just adopt them, they adapted them. They began to mint their own coins, inspired by the Greek designs but infused with their own unique swirling Celtic art. Instead of Greek gods, you might find a stylized horse, a wild boar, or a human head with flowing abstract hair. These coins were often made of gold, potin, a mix of copper, tin and lead, or bronze. They were not just for buying goods, they were a statement of power and identity for the chieftains who issued them, a symbol of their tribe's strength and wealth for all to see. One of the most famous Gallic chieftains was Vercingetorix, the man who united the tribes to fight against Julius Caesar. He minted his own beautiful gold coins, known as staters. On them you can see his own portrait, a powerful image with flowing hair, looking very much like a Celtic warrior king. These coins were more than just money, they were propaganda. They were a way for Vercingetorix to spread his image and his authority across Gaul, a rallying cry stamped in gold. Finding one of these coins today is like finding a direct link back to that legendary leader and his desperate struggle for freedom against the might of Rome. So, long before there were francs or euros, the lands of France were already alive with the jingle of coins. From the silver drachmas of Greek Massalia to the golden staters of Gallic warriors, money was already telling a story. It was a story of trade, of different cultures meeting, and of local identity being forged in metal. These first coins were the seeds from which the long and complex story of French currency would grow. They were the first chapter, a testament to the ancient peoples who walked these lands and left their mark, quite literally, on the money they used. When the Roman legions, led by Julius Caesar, marched across Gaul in the 1st century BC, they brought more than just swords and standards. They brought the full force of Roman civilization, and that included Roman money. The intricate, artistic Gallic coins were soon replaced by a standardized, empire-wide currency. Suddenly, the coins in a Gaul's pouch were the same as those being used in Rome, in Egypt, in Britannia. The denarius, a small silver coin, and the sestertius, a large bronze one, became the common currency. This wasn't just a change of coins, it was a change of world. The Roman coins were powerful tools of propaganda, just as Vercingetorix's had been, but on a much grander scale. Every coin featured the portrait of the reigning emperor. This meant that the face of Caesar, or Augustus, or Nero was in the hands of people in every corner of the vast empire. It was a constant, daily reminder of who was in charge. The reverse side of the coins often celebrated Roman victories, engineering marvels like aqueducts or Roman gods. Using these coins was an act of participating in the Roman Empire itself, connecting a farmer in Gaul to the very heart of power in Rome. The Romans established mints in Gaulish cities like Lugdunum, which we now know as Lyon. This became one of the most important mints in the entire Roman Empire, producing vast quantities of coins for the western provinces. The sheer volume of Roman currency transformed the economy. Trade flourished along the new, straight Roman roads. A merchant could travel from the Mediterranean coast to the northern forests, using the same reliable currency everywhere he went. This economic unity, enforced by Roman coins, helped to bind the diverse tribes of Gaul into a single Roman province. For nearly 500 years, Roman coins were the lifeblood of the economy in Gaul. They paid the soldiers, funded the building of incredible amphitheaters and aqueducts, and were used in marketplaces from the busiest cities to the smallest rural villages. But as the Roman Empire began to weaken and eventually crumble in the 5th century AD, so did its currency system. The supply of new coins dwindled and the value of the old ones became uncertain. The end of Roman rule plunged the land into a new era of fragmentation, and its money would reflect that chaos for centuries to come. With the Roman Empire gone, Gaul fractured into smaller kingdoms ruled by Germanic tribes like the Franks. The grand, unified Roman currency system disappeared, replaced by a patchwork of local coins. Early Frankish kings like Clovis began by imitating Roman and Byzantine coins, often crudely. They still used the emperor's image, but sometimes the craftsmanship was so poor it was barely recognizable. It was a time of uncertainty, and the money reflected this. There was no single trusted currency. What you had in your purse depended entirely on whose land you were standing on. This made trade difficult and life unpredictable. It was under the great King Charlemagne, around the year 800, that a serious attempt was made to bring order back to this monetary chaos. He created a new standardized system for his vast Carolingian empire, which covered modern-day France and Germany. He decreed that a pound of pure silver, a livre in French, should be divided into 240 silver coins called deniers. This system, the livre, sou and denier, would echo through French finance for 1,000 years. For the first time since the Romans, there was a single reliable currency across a large part of Europe, making trade easier and strengthening the king's authority. After Charlemagne's empire fell apart, so did his currency system. Power splintered among hundreds of local lords, dukes, and even bishops. Many of these powerful figures claimed the right to mint their own coins. This led to immense confusion. A denier from Paris might not have the same amount of silver as a denier from Tours or Toulouse. Coinage became debased, with rulers secretly adding cheaper metals to the silver to make a profit. Money changers became essential figures in every town market, weighing and testing coins to determine their true worth. It was a dangerous and confusing time to handle money. Despite the chaos, some coins became famous and respected. One such coin was the Gros Tournois, a large, good-quality silver coin first minted in the city of Tours by King Louis IX, also known as St. Louis in the 13th century. It was trusted for its high silver content and became widely accepted not just in France but in neighboring countries too. This coin was a symbol of the growing power and stability of the French monarchy. It showed that a strong king could create trustworthy money, a small island of certainty in the turbulent sea of medieval finance. This was a crucial step towards a truly national currency. The story of the franc begins with a king in crisis. In 1356, during the 100 Years' War against England, King John II of France was captured at the Battle of Poitiers. The English demanded an enormous ransom for his release, 3 million gold écus. To raise this incredible sum, a new gold coin was created in 1360. This coin showed the king on horseback, charging with his sword drawn, a powerful image of a monarch riding free. The inscription on the coin read, Ioannis de Gratia Francorum Rex, meaning John, by the grace of God, King of the Franks. Because it had freed the king, the coin became known as the franc à cheval, or free on horseback. And so the franc was born. This first franc was a symbol of national pride and resilience. It was minted specifically to buy back the nation's king from its greatest enemy. It represented the freedom of the monarch and, by extension, the freedom of the kingdom itself. However, the name franc wasn't consistently used for the main currency just yet. For the next few centuries, French money continued to be a confusing mix of different coins, including the livre, the écu, and the denier. The name franc would appear and disappear as different kings came to the throne and changed the coinage to suit their needs or their vanity. The instability of the currency was a constant problem. Kings would often devalue their own coins to pay off debts, a practice called debasement. They would recall all the coins, melt them down, and reissue them with less precious metal, keeping the difference for the royal treasury. This made people lose faith in the money. A coin's value was no longer what it said it was, but only what its metal content was worth. This financial instability mirrored the political instability of the times, with wars and internal conflicts making life difficult for ordinary people who never knew if the money in their pockets would be worthless tomorrow. It wasn't until 1575, under King Henry III, that the franc was officially established as the standard unit of account for France. He tried to halt the endless debasement and create a stable currency by minting a new silver franc coin. This was a major step towards creating a modern, unified monetary system. Although his reforms didn't last long due to the ongoing religious wars, the idea of the franc as the heart of French money had been firmly planted. The name, born from a king's ransom, was now destined to become the enduring symbol of the French nation's currency for over 400 years. The French Revolution of 1789 didn't just overthrow the king, it overthrew the entire old world, and that included its money. The system of livres, sous and deniers, with its complicated and honestly illogical divisions, was seen as a relic of the unjust royal past. The revolutionary government was facing a massive financial crisis. To solve this, they came up with a radical idea: paper money. They confiscated all the land owned by the church and issued paper notes called assignats. These notes were supposedly backed by the value of this land, meaning you could, in theory, exchange them for a piece of property. At first, the assignats seemed like a brilliant solution. They allowed the government to pay its bills and fund its new armies, but they quickly ran into trouble. The government just couldn't resist the temptation to print more and more notes, far beyond the actual value of the land they had seized. This led to hyperinflation. Prices for everyday goods like bread skyrocketed. People lost all faith in the paper money. A bag of assignats that could buy a whole cart of groceries one month might only buy a single loaf of bread the next. The experiment was a disaster, causing economic chaos and hardship for ordinary citizens. Amidst this chaos, the revolutionaries introduced another, more lasting innovation: the decimal system. In 1795, they declared that the national currency would be the franc, and for the first time it would be divided logically. 1 franc was now equal to 10 decimes, and 1 decime was equal to 10 centimes. This meant 1 franc was worth 100 centimes. This simple, rational system, based on the number 10, was a product of the Enlightenment's love for logic and reason. It swept away the confusing old system of 12 deniers to a sou and 20 sous to a livre. It was a revolution in the way people thought about and used money. The new decimal franc was a powerful symbol of the new republic. The coins no longer bore the face of a king. Instead, they were decorated with symbols of the revolution: the figure of Hercules, representing the strength of the people, flanked by liberty and equality. The motto of the Republic, Liberté, Égalité, Fraternité, was proudly stamped onto the metal. This was money for the people, not for a monarch. Although the paper money had failed spectacularly, the creation of the decimal franc laid the foundation for a modern, stable and truly national currency that would soon be shaped by the arrival of a new, powerful leader. When Napoleon Bonaparte rose to power, he knew that a strong nation needed strong, stable money. The chaos of the revolutionary assignats had shown everyone how important a trustworthy currency was. In 1803, Napoleon created the franc germinal, named after the month of germinal, or seed month, in the revolutionary calendar. He set a strict standard for this new franc. Each coin had to contain a precise amount of silver or gold. A 1 franc coin was defined as containing 5 grams of 90% pure silver. This created incredible confidence in the currency. People knew that a franc was worth its weight in precious metal. Napoleon also established the Banque de France, the Bank of France, to manage the currency and ensure its stability. New gold coins were minted, most famously the 20-franc gold piece. This coin became known simply as a Napoleon. It was a beautiful piece of money bearing a dignified portrait of the emperor, first as first consul and later with a laurel wreath like a Roman Caesar. This coin was more than just money. It was a symbol of the power and glory of Napoleonic France. It was a piece of imperial propaganda that could be carried in a pocket. The success and stability of the Napoleon coin made it one of the most trusted currencies in the world. As Napoleon's armies marched across Europe, the franc germinal traveled with them. It became a de facto international currency. Many other countries, including Belgium, Switzerland and Italy, saw the benefits of this stable decimal system and adopted it for themselves. In 1865, they joined France to form the Latin Monetary Union, a group of countries that all agreed to mint coins to the exact same gold and silver standards as the French franc. You could spend a French franc in Rome or a Swiss franc in Brussels as if it were the local money. This system, built by Napoleon, gave France and its currency enormous international prestige throughout the 19th century. The gold Napoleon was seen as a safe haven, a reliable store of value in uncertain times. It was the dollar or the euro of its day. The legacy of the franc germinal was immense. It provided France with over a century of monetary stability and projected French economic power across the globe. The logical decimal system and the high-quality gold and silver standards set by Napoleon became the model for many other currencies around the world, a lasting testament to his organizing genius. The 20th century brought turmoil to France, and its currency suffered alongside the nation. The immense cost of World War I forced France to abandon the strict gold standard that had been the bedrock of the franc germinal for over 100 years. To pay for the war, the government had to print vast amounts of money that was no longer backed by gold. This led to a severe devaluation of the franc. The trusted currency that had been a symbol of stability for generations lost much of its value on the international market. The Latin monetary union, already weakened by the war, officially collapsed in 1927. The golden age of the franc was over. The years between the wars, and especially after World War II, were marked by persistent inflation. The value of the franc continued to fall. Coins that were once made of silver were now minted from cheaper metals like aluminum or nickel. The designs also changed to reflect the times. During the German occupation in World War II, the Vichy regime issued coins with their own motto, Travail, Famille, Patrie, replacing the Republican Liberté, Égalité, Fraternité. These coins, made from zinc and iron, were a grim reflection of the hardship and scarcity of the occupation years. By the late 1950s, the franc had lost so much of its value that prices had become absurd. A loaf of bread might cost hundreds of old francs. To restore confidence and simplify daily life, President Charles de Gaulle introduced a major reform. In 1960, he created the nouveau franc, or new franc. It was simple: 100 old francs became one new franc. 2 zeros were simply lopped off all prices. This was a psychological shock, but it worked. It made the currency feel valuable again and helped to control inflation. The new franc brought back some of the prestige of the old currency. The designs on these new francs often looked back to France's rich history. The most iconic design was the Sauer, or la Semeuse, a graceful figure of a woman sowing seeds which had first appeared on French coins at the end of the 19th century. This image, striding confidently into the future, became a beloved national symbol. It represented the resilience of France, its agricultural roots, and its hope for future prosperity. This new franc would be the currency of France for the next 4 decades, seeing the nation through a period of great economic growth and modernization, right up to the dawn of a new European age. The second half of the 20th century saw France working more closely with its European neighbors, especially Germany, to build a peaceful and prosperous future. This cooperation led to the idea of a single European currency, a project of incredible ambition. The goal was to make trade and travel between member countries seamless, to bind their economies together so tightly that another war between them would be unthinkable. After decades of planning and negotiation, this dream became a reality with the signing of the Maastricht Treaty in 1992, which laid the groundwork for the euro. The transition was gradual. On January 1st, 1999, the euro was officially launched as an electronic currency for banking and financial transactions. The exchange rate was permanently fixed. 1 euro was equal to exactly 6.559957 French francs. For 3 years, prices in shops were displayed in both francs and euros, helping people to get used to the new values. It was a strange time of dual currencies, a mental bridge between the familiar past of the franc and the unknown future of the euro. Many people carried special calculators to help with the conversions. The real change for ordinary people came on January 1st, 2002. This was the day that euro notes and coins were physically introduced. People across France and in 11 other European countries queued up at banks and cash machines to get their hands on the new money. For a short period, both francs and euros were accepted in shops, leading to some confusion at the checkout counter. But soon the franc was withdrawn from circulation forever. After more than 640 years, the currency born from a king's ransom had finally been replaced. It was a moment of sadness for some, a farewell to a piece of French identity. The adoption of the euro was a monumental step. It marked the end of the French franc as a national currency and the beginning of a new era of European integration. For France, it meant giving up a powerful symbol of its national sovereignty in exchange for a share in a new, powerful international currency. It was a trade-off, a gamble on a collective European future. The franc, which had survived kings, revolutions, emperors, and world wars, had finally passed into history. Its story now concluded as a new chapter for Europe began. While the franc is gone, a piece of France lives on in the euro coins we use today. A clever feature of the euro system is that while the banknotes are the same across all member countries, the coins have a common European side and a unique national side. This allows each country to keep a small piece of its identity in its currency. France chose 3 distinct designs for its coins, each one a powerful symbol drawn from its long history. These designs connect the new European currency directly to the heritage of the French Republic. For the 1 and 2 euro coins, France chose a design featuring a stylized tree contained within a hexagon. The hexagon, or le hexagone, is a common nickname for mainland France because of its shape. The tree symbolizes life, continuity, and growth. Around the edge are the words of the national motto, liberté, égalité, fraternité. For the 10, 20 and 50-cent coins, the classic image of la semeuse, the sower, was chosen. This design, which graced the franc for so many years, provides a direct link to the beloved currency of the 20th century, representing a France that is modern and forward-looking. The smallest coins, the 1, 2 and 5-cent pieces, feature another potent symbol of the Republic, the face of Marianne. Marianne is not a real person. She is the personification of liberty and the French Republic itself, a symbol born during the Revolution. Her image, wearing the Phrygian cap of liberty, has been a feature of French life for over 2 centuries, appearing on stamps, in town halls, and now on the smallest of coins. Having her in every citizen's pocket is a daily reminder of the core values of the French nation. These 3 designs together, Marianne, the sewer, and the Tree of Life, tell a story of liberty, hope, and growth. All of these coins are produced by the Monnaie de Paris, the Paris Mint. Founded in the year 864, it is the oldest continuously running minting institution in the world. For over 1,150 years, it has been at the heart of France's monetary story, producing everything from Charlemagne's deniers to Napoleon's gold francs and today's euros. It stands today not just as a factory for money, but as a museum and a living piece of history. The journey of French currency, from the crude coins of ancient Gauls to the shared euro, is a powerful reflection of the journey of France itself, a story of identity, conflict, and transformation etched forever in metal.